walk around, so I may not use the mic the whole time. If you can't hear me, get better hearing aids or listen better. I don't know what you guys want to do. Clearly nobody likes the front row because you guys all heard I spit like a camel. Is that the case? So, okay, cool. So I was definitely oversold. I go with Hazel. This could be really shitty, or it could be really, and by the way, if you don't like cursing, you probably should leave now too, because I tend to curse. Yeah, he's out of here. That's good, we got rid of one. So first and foremost, man, I am trying to untangle this cord. I am extremely grateful for being here. It's really exciting for me to come back and speak to you guys. I spoke at the first arena talks that we ever had, actually in this same room. It was the same room. So we've been doing it for quite a few years, and I'm grateful to be back and be able to speak to you guys. I will share a little bit of my journey. It's not that impressive, but I'll share some of it. But more importantly, Nikki, what was the quote, or what was the hashtag?
Don't waste your pain.
Don't waste your pain. So if I will tell you this, like, you may think like this doesn't apply to me, this does. And that's great. Take what you take from it. Don't expect 30 minutes of like, man, that was just the best thing ever. Expect probably 10 seconds of, that touched me. I want to take this piece home. I want to do something fucking different. Because if you leave here and you go home and you're the same exact person, we're all fucked. If we do not become a different person than we are right now, if we want something more. If we don't want anything more, then you're great. You're in the right spot. Stay there. Yet if we want something more from ourselves, we see something more in ourselves, then you got to take something home. You got to take something new home. You got to implement something different. Because none of us get anywhere else if we keep doing the same thing. Like if we wake up tomorrow and we're the same person we were yesterday, we literally don't have anything that surprised ourselves. We don't have anything that made us different. We don't have anything that impacted us. We can impact others, but I say first and foremost, it's always like touch your heart right now. If you guys will take a second, touch your heart. I want you guys to say to yourself, you can say it out loud if you're an out loud person. If you're a quiet person, no problem, I understand that. I'm very much not an external, or what's it called? Yeah, there we go, I'm an introvert. See, I can't even use words. So you guys are in much better shape than I am. If you have your hand on your heart, I will ask you to say to yourself, I'm not what I do. I'm not what I do. I'm not what I've done. I'm not what I've done. But I want you guys to take a few seconds, close your eyes. Look deep inside. There's something that you have suppressed. There's something that you are pushing down. There's something that I will say is calling you, specifically you. No one else. No one else has to believe in you or your journey. But I want you to look inside and go like, what is it? What's the thing right now that I'm pushing away? What's that gift? What's that thing that I really need to share? Not with the world, with you. When you're ready, you can open up back open your, you can open your eyes. There we go. So I'll share not my story first, and I'll be intertwining some other people's stories. I remember a couple days into getting sober, and I'm like, man, and I may have a different story than you. I will tell you, have you ever been molested? Me too. Have you ever blamed your parents or blamed somebody else in your life? Me too. Have you ever done wrong to somebody else? Me too. Have you ever like survived or got away from the cops where maybe you should be in jail right now or prison? Me too. All the story, all the things that we want to separate each other from or tell you like, hey, this story doesn't relate to me, in some part it does. You know, I remember a couple days into getting sober. I'm in the gym, right? And you guys are like, dude, you don't look like you lift. You're right, I don't anymore. Yet, what I will tell you is I was lifting weights, because like that's what most of us do when we get in recovery. We go like, man, you know what, I gotta look sexier. You know, I gotta get that naked body, really, you know, like that birthday suit body. I don't need a lot of muscle, I just need to look good naked. And we go out and we're like, all right, I'm gonna work out. So I'm doing some shoulders. And I'm listening to this guy named Les Brown. And if you guys don't know who Les Brown is, that's cool, that's your loss, but look him up. He's an incredible guy, he's like, I think 80 something now, he survived cancer 4 times. One of the most impactful guys on my journey to recovery. And I'm listening to his story. And he goes, man, you know what? I remember in high school, so he has a twin brother. And they called him DT, dumb twin, because he was a dumb idiot. Like, he couldn't learn. He would fail, like, grade after grade. So he's walking down the hall. And he's walking, and he's not feeling great. It's end of his junior year. Gets called to the principal's office, and he walks in, opens up the door. Principal goes, hey, sit down, will you? And he goes, okay. Pulls out the chair and sits down. As he sits down, he kind of knows what's coming. The principal says, hey, I just want to tell you, you're going to have to repeat junior year. You're failing. And he goes, yeah, that's what I figured. I'm the dumb twin. My brother's smart twin. He leaves the office. He's walking down the hallway, and it looks like it just goes on forever. And he's just got his head down. He's like, man, just another time. Just another time. Just another time. Prove to me how dumb I am. Prove to me I'm not worthy. And as he walks down the hall, he hears this voice. You can do it. If you believe you can, you can. You're the one. You're the one. He's like, Jesus? God? Nope, not Jesus or God. And he keeps walking down and he remembers, oh, it's senior graduation day. They're getting spoken to by some of the teachers. So he walks over this door and he looks in. He's like, oh, yeah. I don't know who that is, but that's one of the teachers. He's up there speaking in front of all these people. He cracks open the door, kind of keeps listening, and then walks in. Walks into the back row, like these chairs here, they're set up. Walks into the back row. And he hears, man, you are in the right place at the right time. If anybody wants to make a difference, you are in the right place at the right time. You could do anything. Talking to the senior class. The guy's name's Mr. Washington. It's up there speaking. And Les is like, man, he's speaking to me. He's speaking to my soul. He's got to be knowing I'm in the back row. The senior class throws up their hat. They get to start walking out. And he's like a salmon swimming upstream. He's like, get out of my way. I got to go. Get out of my way. Get out of my way. Hops up on stage. He's like, Mr. Washington. Mr. Washington's about a stare down going out the back of the stage. And he goes, Mr. Washington. And he goes, yeah, what is it? He goes, hey, sir, I heard you say I can be the one. Anybody can be the one. Sir, I have big goals and big dreams. I want to do something with my life. He goes, that's amazing, son. He goes, sir, I want to be a radio DJ. He goes, okay, great job. Like, you can do it. Mr. Washington takes a few more steps down. He goes, Mr. Washington, Mr. Washington. He goes, yeah, what is it, son? He goes, sir, remember me. I'm the one, sir. I'm the one. Years go by. He gets a call. Les Brown gets a call. And Les Brown's, hey, Mr. Washington wants you to come see him. He's in the hospital. He's going to die. He wants you to come see him one last time. He's like, no worries. I'll drop everything I'm doing. I'll head over there. Gets in the car, goes over to the hospital. When he arrives that day, he sees Mr. Washington laid in the hospital bed. He walks up, kind of leans on the door frame, and he goes, Mr. Washington. And he goes, Mr. Brown. He walks over and he puts his arm on Mr. Washington's arm. And he looks up at him. And if you don't know Les Brown, he's achieved amazing things. Look him up. But he goes, you're right, son. You were the one. You were the one. The reason I tell you this story is because each one of you are the one in some way. That thing that I asked you to put your hand over your heart that's calling at you, that's the thing you're probably the one about. That's the thing that you're probably pushing away because you're afraid. Not because of failure, you're afraid of your greatness. And each one of us has something that we can impact the world in. And I ask you, when you leave tonight, go home, think about what you're the one in. Be that, live that more fully. So, I was born July 15th, 84 on a cold Friday night. I don't know if I was. It was July 15th, I do know that. It was a Friday, I do that. I don't know what time I was born. It doesn't really matter. So, when I was about 5 years old, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you guys like some part of my story, and I'm going to tell you really like how the pain has turned to purpose, how the pain has turned to power. Because if we don't get anything from what happened in our past, you're right, I would dread my past. I would hate my past. I would hate my life. Yet I don't. I'm grateful for everything I went through. You're like, you're grateful for molestation? Yes. Because who better to have molestation than me? That could have happened to somebody else. How else do I relate to somebody that's been molested? I don't if I'm not molested. So, 5 years old, up in Utah. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. I'm not from Utah. But we have a lot of cousins up here. Our grandma lives up here. So, we come up every summer, spend months up here. We're on a farm. Does anybody know where Roosevelt is? Oh, yeah. Okay, cool, one person. Oh, and a few other here. Oh, yeah, I don't know, yeah. I heard you. And so anyways, so we go out there. We're spending the summer out there. And I have a cousin. I'm 5. He's roughly, I think, 14. You know, first time to look at porn. It's always a good age, 5. That's what I feel like, you know. It's a good age to start everybody. Just joking, I'm not. I'm very sarcastic. So I get molested. Then we come back the next summer, I get molested again. And, you know, hindsight from that, my mom wants me to feel okay about it. So she's like, you know, hey, you know, it's not your fault. It's not your issue. But I have a different story. Because every time, like, I talk to my aunt, my mom, like, the person you have sexual touch with is the person you love. So that makes me have a different story. Now I feel dirty. Now I feel shame from that. Just like as my parents got divorced at 6, that was a different story. And nothing that I ever have had happen in my life is actually what happened. It's a story. And we can choose our story. We can choose to go with the old story that keeps us paralyzed, or we can choose to create a new story. An uplifting story, something that means something. So molestation tripped me up for years, right? Like that led me into, and like I said, I'm gonna express past this story. Like I'll get to the past, I'll come back to the future, whatever, we'll go around. Yet when I got that, and then the divorce and not understand, like, I don't know about you guys, like your parents aren't good or bad. Nobody goes to school and goes like, hey, what emotional like degree do you have, right? They don't teach that in school. They don't teach us how to handle these things. They don't teach us how to process these feelings. That's the reason you're here. I'll say addiction's if you're here for addiction, if you're here for mental health, I say congratulations. It's one of the greatest gifts you gave yourself. You may not realize it yet. But there's so many people that come to treatment, they're like, man, I wish my parents or my family would come. And you're like, yeah, I wish that too. I had to massively fuck up my life in order to get here. So anyway, so I get into middle school, and I am like, I feel confident, right? I love, like, obviously, this is just for you guys because you're here, but I had such a nervous stomach every day I went to like 7th grade. I had to go take diarrhea shits, and I was trying to stay home because like I just was so anxiety ridden from being around new people. That's how much I love being around new people. So you got anxiety? Cool. You got depression? Cool. I wanted to kill myself at one point. We'll get there. Welcome to the team. So middle school happens, like I feel confident. And then I realized, man, I really felt confident. I get in high school, all that confidence goes away. All the guilt from the way I treated people comes, you know, full force from 7th and 8th grade. Comes like all the pain from the molestation, from the divorce, from the physical and like verbal abuse that I had when I was a kid, all that comes full force. I become very conscious of it for whatever reason. Yet the greatest gift I got was the loss of confidence. And most of us, we want, like, if you guys know who The Rock is, I'm sure you do, The Rock, Dwayne Johnson. He always says, like, most people are grateful for what they get. And he said the greatest gift we can do is be, like, grateful for the things that God doesn't give us. Because we all want the stuff. Yet if I would have went into high school and just been confident and got everything I wanted, like I would be in a far different place. Maybe drugs and alcohol would have came in, but I would have felt way different about myself. Life would have been vastly different. I surely wouldn't be talking to you guys. So I get into high school and I'm like, yeah, let's smoke some weed, right? That's cool. Sounds fun. I'm drinking a little bit. I'm smoking some weed. And as that happens, I really realized, like, I felt so lost. I felt like I didn't know who I was, and this is, I think, normal teenage stuff, but I felt so lost in who I thought I was because I didn't know. The molestation, the abuse, all of it just left me not knowing and so confused about life and what it meant. So I get through high school, right, drinking, smoking, and then I get, you know, like into my early 20s, and I'm like, man, I should quit weed. Like, it's not very helpful. I'm like, all right, man, I'll quit weed. I'll go to alcohol. That'll be smart. Like, you know, that always leads to better stuff. So I start drinking. I stopped smoking weed and I started drinking. I'm like, okay, shit, that didn't work at all. Like now I'm just drinking like every night and all day. That's really not helpful. Okay, so I should go back to weed. So I go back to weed. And then I go back to like, well, it's like weed's not as fun anymore, so I should go to alcohol and weed because that seems like that's a better combo. And then like in my early 20s, I get introduced to some like white stuff called cocaine. I don't know if you guys know it. Close personal friend of mine, a long time ago. You know, we used to hang out a lot, like nightly, daily. So anyways, so I get introduced to cocaine. We could become pretty good buddies. And I started doing some cocaine. In my mid-20s, I'm like, fuck it. I got to do something different. Life sucks. Like, I hate my life. I'm miserable. And so for like the next 5 years, I'm trying to figure out, like, how do people get sober? This whole sober thing, that sounds intriguing. How do we do that? And I don't know. I had no idea. Like, it didn't even dawn on me that I was working for a company that would send me to treatment, and that was an option. I was like, I don't want anybody to know. I just want to look shiny as shit on the outside. Just tell me I look good, because I don't feel like I look good. But if you tell me I look good, I still won't feel like I look good, but at least you'll think I look good. So that sounded like a good sound plan. So I did that for a while. It really worked out well. Still feel like shit. Like, you'd be like, oh, you're amazing. I'd be like, thanks, I feel like shit. Okay, bye. So in my mid-20s, right, working for a big company, they'll pay for my treatment. I'm like, man, I don't know. Like, I don't want anybody to know. So I get into my late 20s. And then I'm still doing like massive amounts of cocaine. By the way, cocaine, alcohol, greatest things, far great, full form, because that took me to the darkest depth of my whole life. And if I would have smoked weed and just stayed with that, I would be at home, chilling, smoking some weed. That's the end of the story. That's what I'd be doing, just chilling, smoking some weed. Yet I went to the harder shit, and it fucked up my life so much, and I was like, man, I just want to kill myself. I just want to be off this earth. This pain is too much. I don't even know how to handle it. I don't know how to handle relationships. I suck at them. Like, I date women, but it never goes well. I don't know how to handle my emotions. I don't know how to, like, tell people what I need. I don't even know what I fucking need. I don't know, but I don't know how to tell people it. And if you don't get exactly what I'm saying, I just want to argue with you. I just want to berate you. Which really works well for coaching, by the way, guys, just so you know. So if you want to get into coaching, just berate people now, and then you'll get better practice on how to handle that later. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So anyways, so I'm in my late 20s, and I'm like, all right, I got to figure out something. So the first person I ever tell anybody that I have a drug issue with is my mom. I go to my mom, because, right, like, hey, mom's safety net for most of us. Like, she'll still love me. I came out of her. She's got to love me. Like, that's how it works, you know? There's a contract here. So I go to her, and I'm like, Mom, I really just can't, like, stand myself. Like, I have bottles shoved underneath my bed. Can you come help me? She's like, yeah, we'll take you to AA. And I'm like, cool, I love AA. Let's do it. Anything but this. Let's do AA. And so I go to AA. And this is not, if you love AA, God bless you. Keep doing it, right? If it works for you, do it. I went there and I'm like, man, everybody is just fucking each other, smoking cigarettes and drinking like coffee or energy drinks like it's going out of style. This isn't my crew. Like, I'm trying to do something better in my life. God love you, but that's not for me. So I go to AA for like 3 months, solid. My sponsor's like, hey man, like, you just haven't lost enough. I'm like, fuck you, motherfucker. You don't even know me, bitch. Like, I'll slap you in your face. I haven't lost enough. You know, and I'm crashing like I have a stepmother, so I'm crashing her car, totally, like, just ripped off the rims. Like, I should be in jail for that, for sure. But luckily, somehow I got the car back into the garage, nailed it. You know what I'm saying? Dogs, like, licking, like, literally, they get home from the airport because I'm supposed to pick them up. Dogs just licking my face because I'm passed out on the floor. Sounds awesome. So, back to where I was. So, I get to the late 20s, right? My mom's taking me to AA. Always feels awesome. You know, it's back in school. Mama drops you off. Mama didn't drop me off. She just came in. She was like, hey, I don't trust you. You should, let's go in this thing together. And I was like, awesome. That sounds cool. That's awesome. Hey, guys, this is my mom. I'm almost 30. Guys want to meet my mom? So cool. She doesn't actually have any drug or alcohol issues, but she is here. So we go and do that. We go 3 months into it, right? Like I told you, the sponsor thing. And I realized it wasn't for me. So I'm like, okay, luckily I meet some people and they're absolutely amazing. I get involved, like, I don't care what you think of MLMs. I know we're in Utah and everybody's done 9,000 MLMs and everybody feels like it's either made me rich and I'm a millionaire and you should mentor with me, or like, it's the worst, this sucks. What it did introduce me to is personal development. It introduced me to understanding like how my brain functions, understanding how my thoughts function, what my self-talk is. I don't know what that is. Like, I didn't go to treatment. I never went to treatment, ever once, not 1 second. I went to AA 3 months, left that. Got in personal development, and luckily, we would go to these events every Saturday. One Saturday a month. I lied. 1 Saturday a month. And luckily, this guy shows up, and he's like, hey, his name's Kenyon, right? I don't think he'd be pissed if I use his name, and if he is, then he has to deal with that, not me. So he tells me, like, hey, there's this guy named Michael Burnoff. You should come see him. He's amazing. I'm like, cool, bro. I got all the personal development I need. I don't need you. And he's like, of course, I'm a coward. So he's like, hey, can I take your number? And I'm like, if you like me more, I'll give you my number, because I'm afraid to say no. Like, no, I don't. Luckily, I didn't say no. Luckily, I was a coward at that moment, so it helped. So he calls me month after month. Hey, what's wrong with your business? Why aren't you growing? Like, why aren't you better in life? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just busy. Whatever. I make up excuses. 13 months later, he still calls me every month. And he says, hey, man, what's going on? He was the second person I ever told, and I said, dude, the truth is I have alcohol and drug issues. I do it every night, man. Like, I'm lost. I don't know what to do. And in that moment, he changed my life forever. He said, hey, I told you about Michael. No pressure, man. He doesn't help people with that specifically, but he helps people that have that issue. I'm like, okay, I need help, man. Like, what I'm doing is not working clearly. So he takes me, or he's like, hey, get on this free call, check out Michael. So I get on the free call, and I'm like, oh, yeah, this is awesome, I love it. He's like, come to some events, right? Like, so I sign up for an event. I go to the event. And I'd love to tell you, like, this is roughly probably like those late 20s. And I learned there was something better, though. Like, I learned to at least have some hope from, like, these people in the MLM. I learned personal development. I learned that there could be something different, opposed to just feeling fucking so stuck and that I want to kill myself. Because at work, I'm like, hey, I want to kill myself. And they're like, hey, guess what? You get to go to 8, like, sessions of therapy. I'm like, fuck this. Like, oh, yay, therapy. That sounds so exciting. Do I get out of work? Okay, cool, I'll do that.
Maybe try not using the mic because they can't understand because of echo.
Okay.
You're loud enough. Yeah, you probably need it.
Can they hear me now? Better. Okay, cool. All right, so thank you. I practice it at home. You know, in front of the mirror, I do that, you know, just for these opportunities, just once in a lifetime. So I like it better with no mic anyways, the chords there, you know, all that good stuff. Anyways, so if you guys can't hear me, move up. If you can't hear me, move back, however you want to do it. So anyway, so I go to Michael's event, and I'm like, oh, man, this is the best. I love it. I'm so pumped. I can't wait to, like, have a better life. And I leave there, and I go back instantly to drinking, instantly to cocaine. Like, it's going out of style. I'm like, I should double down. I think, like, the key was at this event to double down in your life. Let's do that. So I do that. And then I even get away from cocaine for a while, and then I'm like, man, I don't have a dealer anymore. I should find somebody. So I start reaching out to people, you know, good friends. They're like, oh, yeah, I can get you some cocaine. I'm like, that's my guy. I love this guy. So anyways, get back into cocaine, and I get to about 30, and I have a knock on the door, and these guys are like, hey, would you like to find out about Jesus? I'm like, yo, don't know much about Jesus or God, but it sounds pretty cool. I'm interested. I'm intrigued. So they keep coming over. They're very diligent. It was actually girls, but it's very diligent. So they keep knocking. They keep coming. And I'm like, man, they're like, hey, you want to get baptized? I'm like, nope, thanks for asking, but I don't. I'm like, kind of into this cocaine drinking thing, you know, it's pretty cool. You guys want some cocaine to drink? We should do that. Like swapsies, you know, swapsies. You bring the scriptures, I'll bring the cocaine and drink. We'll party. No, I didn't say that, but I was nice and respectful. So anyways, so they keep coming. About 6 months later, I take the dip, right? I get baptized. One huge part of my story is finding something outside yourself. If you do not find something outside yourself, if you do not turn these things that were like the pain of, like, right, I wanted to blame my parents, like, that was great. Yet I realized that there's no freedom. I can either be the victim or I can be a victor. I can be the whiner or I can be the warrior. Yet the truth of it, the freedom of it, and the most daunting thing, but yet the most freedom is, it's all on me. It's not on anybody else. It truly isn't. It's only on us, right? Will Smith says, it's not your fault. My molestation was not my fault. The abuse was not my fault, but it sure as hell is my responsibility what I do with it. So I go to this Michael Burnoff event, I go straight back to drugs, and then the missionaries come. I take the dip, I become religious, whatever the hell that means, right? I find something outside myself, something more powerful than me. Super important for me. Because I don't know about you guys, I've tried to do it alone, I've tried to do it with other people. Yet the most important thing is I can give some of that weight away. Because that weight is so deafening, so hard sometimes. And I will say, like, I believe in you. I believe in you. I don't even know you, right? Never met before. What's your name? Chris. I actually have met you one time. Yet what I will tell you is, when you have something you can believe in, it gives you a different power. Because people told me they believed in me. I didn't believe it because I didn't believe in me. So I go to the Michael event, get dipped, right? We take the dip. That's how most people refer to it in the world, the dip. And I find this new thing called religion. Luckily, one thing that becoming a member gave me was I got to have this whole new people that actually wanted to stay sober. They weren't fucking, from what I knew. They were not smoking cigarettes, from what I knew. They weren't banging energy drinks or coffee every day. And that was something I wanted in my life, right? I didn't want those toxicities in my life. So I got to meet these people. And every day I hung out with them. After I got baptized, I got some more cocaine and some more alcohol. It was awesome, guys. It was so awesome. I was like, yeah, I like this God thing. Let me double down here and try some cocaine and some alcohol. See, maybe it's God. Maybe I need a God and it'll work in my life. And like, they don't know this. I'm hanging out with them for months, hanging out with them. We get up in the morning, we go hiking. They're like, man, you're so chipper in the morning. I'm like, yeah, because I just did some lines of cocaine. You didn't know that, but I did. So we hang out for a long time. Luckily, they were great people. They understood, like my past, they understood the pornography that I got into. They understood like the struggle in the sense of like, man, I can be relieved of that if I really want. So finally, I'm like, man, you know what? I really got to figure this out. And what I didn't realize is every day I went up to my room to drink more and do more cocaine, because that's where I did most of it. I wasn't like social like you guys. I didn't go out to bars. I went to the liquor store straight across from work, which in Arizona there's a place called, I can't probably use the name because we'll get sued or whatever, but there's this big warehouse of place, and it's like, it has the cheapest alcohol, and I can grab a huge handle every night. It's amazing. So I go do that pretty much every day. And I go home. And I'm like, man, I got to figure out something different. Like I said, I went to personal development. I went to Michael Burnoff, and I found God. Like, why isn't this working? I don't know if you guys can relate to that. And maybe you can just take a moment if you feel like, man, why isn't this working? Steve Jobs says you can't connect the dots looking forward, but you can connect the dots looking backwards. I think that's so true. It's so true for most of us. It's so hard to connect the dots looking forward. Month after month, like there would be times where I'm like, man, you know what? I'm doing great. Like finally, man, yeah, like I have a week sobriety. I'm fucking kicking ass. I'm doing it. Then I drink, right? Like 2 weeks just straight into the ground, cocaine, drinking. Then I go like, man, I fucking suck. I feel like shit. I kept doing that over and over and over. And I didn't realize like that actually is a success journey. Like that's how life works. We think like, man, we just want it to be like, man, I feel amazing. I'm just doing the best. I'm the best motherfucker that's ever existed. The truth is we're not. Like there's ups and downs. How do we lessen the downs? That's the question. And the pain that I kept feeling became purpose. It became purpose driven. And one of the choices that I made finally was like, okay, each time I get bigger gaps, I'm gonna start giving myself some credit. Like there was a day I didn't think I could be sober. Yet when I finally got sober, back to that gym working out, Les Brown on the headphones, I go like, man, you know what? There's a purpose to this. There's something more than just me. There's something more that I'm going through this pain for. Because if there's no purpose to this pain, like I would say, just do it, right? Like I would have killed myself. Yet I finally found some purpose. And each time that I was able to, because then I went back to the Michael event, and like for the second time you come back as a leadership. So I went back to the Michael Burnoff event, and I came back as leader. And I was helping some people, and I was finally sober for a couple months. I was feeling amazing. And I was like, man, this is amazing. I love helping people, because when you go back, it's not about you, it's about helping others. I was like, I got to do more of this. And each time I did that, like, I grew. I was like, I got to do this more for like a career. I don't even know how you do that. Mike's like, you could be like a coach. I'm like, cool. Like, that sounds amazing. I should do that. Like, that coach thing, I don't know what that means, but awesome. Let's sign me up. Where do I sign? So I meet a lady. That's my wife now. That's the lady with the baby in the back. So I meet her. We meet in Arizona. She moves up. Like, we decide we're fond of each other. She moves up here, I move up. She moves up here for school. I move up here for love. And when I move up here, luckily I meet Jared along the way, and he's like, hey, you should come coach. I want to do coaching. And that's how we got started at IM. Was just like, hey, we should do some coaching. Okay, let's do some coaching. And I hope right now, while you're listening to this, you go like, something hits me differently. Because I want you to turn to the person to your right and to your left. I'm going to give you a few seconds. But I want you to turn to them and go like, what's in your heart? You can do this. If you guys will just humor me, go ahead and do that right now. So I start coaching. If you guys are still doing that, good job. If you're not. So I start coaching people, and what I start to realize is each time I get to help somebody, that turns the pain to purpose. Each time I get to like teach them something, I get to learn about myself. I get to learn more about how I speak to myself. Because right now, what I learned, the best thing from like personal development was how I speak to myself. Because if you're saying something external to somebody else, and you think like, man, you know what, like that didn't sound healthy. You're saying that in your head 10,000 times. And we'll go over this some of where Hazel ran away. But when we like get the questions, I'm sure we'll go over a lot of this. But the truth is, the more we can stop and observe what we're saying to ourselves, not judge it. Like, hey, Chris, you fucking suck. I get that. And the question is, so a couple years ago, I'll go back to the story. I met my wife. We moved up here. I met Jared. That's how we started with IM. And so my wife's like, hey, you should run a marathon. I'm like, cool, never going to do that. That sucks. Like, nobody wants to run. That's the worst thing ever. Yet so she runs her marathon. I'm like, oh, great job. I'm their supporter, her cheerleader. And she finishes. I'm like, hell yeah. The second time, she's like, hey, you should run a marathon. I'm like, no, that still sucks. Like, no, I'm good. But she's like, so her friends drop out like a month before the event. I'm like, hey, you know what? If this is the last one you're going to do, because it was the last one she wanted to do, I was like, I'm going to do it with you. I'm going to get some shoes. I'm not going to train at all. So I get some shoes. I'm like, hell yeah, walking around these nice shoes. These shoes are going to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even need to run. These shoes are going to do it. So I ran like 5 times in 20 years. But I'm like, I could do this. It's only 26.2 miles. I'm not a bitch. Anybody can do this. So I get out there and I'm doing it. And I'm like, hell yeah, I'm doing this. I'm going to finish this thing. Well, halfway through, I'm not so much like I'm going to finish this thing. I'm more like, why do people run this long? And this is insane. And how many hours has this been? And I got to do more of this? Long story short, we finish it. We complete it. And there was somebody, and I don't know if you guys know him, but his name's James Iron Cowboy. And he did 50 Ironmans. You can't say Ironman. So 50 triathlons in 50 days in 50 states. And what I want to do is I'm not telling you any of this to impress you guys. I'm telling this to impress upon you and empower you that you have far more inside yourself. And I'm going to ask you guys to all stand up right now. I'm going to ask you guys, the good thing is I know you guys are here until midnight, so I only got 5 more hours of this, so you guys are lucky. But I want you to, if you're standing by yourself, turn around. Just because you're the only one by yourself, you know what I'm saying? But, oh, there you go. You got a teammate, I like it. I want you guys to slap somebody's hand. And I'll tell you the power of giving a high five. if you guys need to practice your 5s, probably fucking do that at home. This isn't a 5 practice class. No, I'm just joking. I love it. Good job, ladies. So, what I will say this, I want to empower you guys right now. That like one of my goals, because I don't want to just tell you all the horrible stuff, I want to give you guys like the pain to purpose, the pain to power, is I learned that day, finishing 26.2 miles, that there is so much more inside me. The last 0.2, I filmed a video, and I said, you know what? I fucking didn't know if I'd finish this. I'm getting goosebumps just telling this, but I will tell you this. That I can die. That wasn't mine, so I'm good. I could die today, and at least I will leave this earth feeling fulfilled and feeling like I gave my fullest. I want to encourage you guys to slap each other's hands again and say, give your fullest. Okay, so we got a couple more minutes. Hey class, we got a couple more minutes before you guys go smoke, do whatever you do. There's the last few things I want to impart on you guys. And again, this is hopefully so I learned from James Iron Cowboy, like, you don't want to inspire people, you want to empower them. So along this journey from James Iron Cowboy, the reason I brought him up is because I learned that you got to choose hard things. Like, I will tell you, if you are not sober today, good for you. If you are sober today, good for you. Life will not get easier. It won't. You will get stronger or weaker. That's your only choice. You're either going up or going down. 51% of the time doing something that's good for you, you will get better. 51% of the time doing something that's not good for you, you will get worse. There is no neutral ground in this world. And I want to empower you that right now what I'm doing is I've run 200 days straight so far because I fucking hate running, right? And I do it because I fucking hate running. Because every day I go like, this sucks. But if I can do this hard thing, I can stay sober today. Because you know what? 6 years sober, and there's still times where I go like, man, you know what? Cocaine sounds good. Alcohol sounds good. I'd love to tell you guys like, no, you never think of it again. It's just the best world. It's not, right? You got bills. People fight you, people hate you, people cheat on you, whatever it is. People treat you like shit. Yep, that's life. But I will empower you to find something that's so hard that when you do it, you look back at yourself and go like, man, I'm a little bit greater than I thought I was. I'm a little bit more amazing than I thought I was. Because when I finished the marathon, I thought, man, like, I didn't realize what I have inside me. No training, I can do it. I can do a lot of hard things. 200 days straight of running sounds hard. You know what sounds harder? 1,800 more of them. Because I want to run for 5 years straight and then run through America. And not straight across America, because that's too easy. That's for sissies, you know what I'm saying? That doesn't work. I want to run like a V because it's 5,200 miles instead of 3,300.
Damn.
So 30 miles a day, 174 days. And again, I don't tell you to impress this, that you, like, be impressed by me. I tell you to impress yourself. It does not have to be that. Find what it is. Find something greater. Go out. Take action on it and do it. And then touch your heart and go like, man, there's so much more inside. I'm so much greater. Because you're not what you do. You're not what you do. You are who you become. And we can go to the past, which we'll talk more about. I'm sure Hazel will grill me about it. We can go to the past and we can create anxiety, depression, like right against it creates depression, the saying is, and then the future creates anxiety. However it works for you and your body and your feelings. Yet the truth of the matter is, we can start to shift those stories of the past to create empowerment. We can start to do things in the present that allow us to project ourselves to the future. And we can become something far greater than we ever thought we could. And if you think anything in your past holds you back, you are still a victim to that. And I want to, as we discussed tonight, I want to hopefully you leave this and you go like, I'm gonna change one thing. I'm gonna think about one thing in my past, and I'm gonna change it and go like, fuck it. That used to be my victim. Now it's a victim to me. because I'm a badass warrior. And I'm ready for the fight. And I hear that voice inside my head that says, you're a fucking loser. And I say, thanks for telling me that. I'm going to start winning. I don't have to, I'm going to meet myself where like, I suck. Okay, cool, I suck. Like, this talk sucked. Cool. Somebody tell me that. I don't care. Like, this talk sucked. Great. You know what? It did suck. I'm going to get better. It's always you got to always meet yourself where you're at, right? Like, 26.2 sounded hard. I started running. I had to meet myself where I was at. And I wasn't like, this is the best thing. I love it. I wasn't. I was like, this fucking sucks. And I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to keep doing it. I don't care how bad I'm cramping. I'm going to keep doing it. I don't care if I drag my body across the line. I'm going to do it. That's your life. It doesn't matter about the run. It doesn't matter about any of this stuff that I've said. Something in your heart matters to you. If you have to find somebody else to do it for that, for right now, until you find enough inside you to do it for yourself. I got 1 minute. I nailed this shit. Time-wise. I don't know if any of the other stuff connected, but I did nail it time-wise. I'm going to say, I appreciate you all. If you are here, I know you're in some type of battle because you are breathing. I don't know what it is. It may not be anxiety, it may not be depression, maybe finances. Maybe like, man, I'm going to get married, or man, I just got married, or man, I just had a baby. Whatever it is. Like, man, I can't stop looking at the fridge. Man, the fridge looks so appetizing. There's some shit in there I want to eat. Whatever it is, find it. Find yourself. Meet yourself where you're at. Turn the pain to purpose, which we'll talk more about with Hazel. Thank you all. Go take your break.